In 1944, 3 days before his death, Edgar Cayce granted a never-before-revealed interview to investigative journalist Thomas Mitchell. For 2 hours, the man known as the Sleeping Prophet shared secrets about reincarnation that forever changed our understanding of past lives. This document, kept in a vault for 80 years, has finally come to light, revealing the 7 undeniable signs that you have lived before. The room was shrouded in twilight when Mitchell arrived at Cayce's modest home in Virginia Beach. The air carried the scent of incense and ancient book pages. Cayce, visibly weakened but with eyes that sparkled with ancestral wisdom, greeted the journalist with a smile that seemed to carry the weight of thousands of lives. "You came seeking the truth about the eternal soul," Cayce said, before Mitchell could even introduce himself. "Sit down. There is much to reveal." Mitchell activated his recorder and asked the first question that had tormented humanity for millennia. "Mr. Cayce, how can we know for certain if we have lived before?" The psychic closed his eyes for a moment, as if accessing invisible dimensions. When he opened them, his voice took on a prophetic tone that sent chills down Mitchell's spine. "There are 7 universal signs that the soul carries from life to life. Signs that do not lie, for they are engraved in the very fabric of existence. The first sign," Cayce explained with deliberate pauses, "manifests as inexplicable knowledge about places you have never visited. The soul remembers geography like a map etched in fire," he whispered, his weathered hands tracing invisible patterns in the air. "You walk through a foreign city and know exactly where to turn. You see a landscape in a photograph and feel homesickness for a place you have never been. This is not coincidence. This is cellular memory awakening." Mitchell leaned forward, captivated by the intensity in Cayce's voice. The prophet continued, "I have seen countless souls recognize ancient Rome, medieval England, or Egyptian temples with tears streaming down their faces, knowing they had walked those stones before. During my readings, I witnessed a woman from Ohio who had never left America, yet she could describe in perfect detail the layout of a 14th-century monastery in Tibet, down to the color of the prayer flags and the sound of the monastery bells at dawn. When researchers later verified her description against historical records, every detail proved accurate. This was not imagination or lucky guessing. This was soul memory surfacing from the depths of eternal experience. The second sign revealed itself through phobias that have no logical origin. Cayce's voice grew somber as he shared, "Fear is the soul's way of protecting itself from repeating past trauma. A person who drowns in terror at the sight of water may have perished in the ocean centuries ago. Someone who cannot bear the sound of horses galloping might have fallen in battle under cavalry charge. These fears are not mental illness. They are spiritual scars." The room seemed to grow colder as he spoke, and Mitchell noticed his own breathing had become shallow. The most profound healing comes when we understand that our deepest fears are simply our soul's way of saying, "I remember what happened before." Cayce paused, his fingers drumming silently on the wooden table. "I once helped a young man who would faint at the mere sight of rope. Through regression, we discovered he had been hanged as an innocent man in Salem during the witch trials. Once he understood the source of his terror, the phobia completely disappeared. The soul had delivered its warning and could finally release the fear." As thunder rumbled outside, Cayce revealed the third sign through natural talents that emerge without training. "Some souls are born with gifts that seem to come from nowhere," he said, his eyes distant as if seeing into other realms. "A child who plays piano like a master without lessons, an artist who paints with techniques never learned, a person who speaks ancient languages they have never studied. These are not genetic gifts. These are soul memories surfacing." He paused to sip tea with trembling hands. "I have witnessed a young girl in Kentucky who could perform surgery techniques from the 1800s. Despite never having medical training, her soul remembered being a battlefield surgeon in the Civil War. Another case involved a 7-year-old boy who could forge metal using techniques that had been lost for centuries. When blacksmith experts examined his work, they confirmed he was using methods that had not been documented anywhere in modern times. These children had never been exposed to these skills in their current lives, yet they performed them with the mastery of lifelong practitioners. The soul retains every skill, every talent, every piece of knowledge gained across multiple incarnations. The fourth sign manifested through instant connections with certain people. Casey's voice grew warm as he explained, "Soul families travel together through lifetimes. When you meet someone and feel you have known them forever, when conversation flows like water and understanding comes without words, you are recognizing a soul companion." Mitchell felt his heart race, remembering his own inexplicable connection to his wife the moment they met. These connections transcend physical appearance, age, or social status. A soul recognizes its own kind. Love at first sight is actually love at first recognition. The prophet's eyes twinkled with ancient wisdom. "I have documented thousands of cases where people meet and immediately feel like family, lovers, or close friends, despite having no previous contact in this lifetime. A businessman from New York once told me he met a street musician in Paris and instantly felt like this stranger was his brother. They spent 3 days together, sharing stories and dreams as if they had grown up together. Later, through past life regression, we discovered they had indeed been brothers in multiple previous lives, supporting each other through wars, famines, and adventures across different centuries and cultures." The prophet's expression grew mysterious as he unveiled the fifth sign through dreams of historical periods lived in vivid detail. "The sleeping mind is the gateway to past life memories," Casey revealed, his voice barely above a whisper. "When you dream of being a specific person in a specific time, with details so accurate they could be documented, this is not imagination. This is the soul reviewing its journey." The wind outside seemed to respond to his words, howling through the trees. "I have guided thousands through these dream memories, and the historical accuracy is astounding. Details about daily life, customs, languages, even the taste of food from centuries past, all perfectly preserved in the soul's memory bank." Casey reached for a leather-bound journal and flipped through pages filled with careful handwriting. "Here's the case of Margaret Thompson from Boston. She began having dreams of living as a servant girl in Victorian London. She could describe the exact weight of coal buckets, the smell of lye soap, the sound of horse-drawn carriages on cobblestones, and even the specific prayers said before meals in her employer's household. When historians researched her descriptions, they found records of a servant girl with the same name who had worked in the exact house Margaret described in her dreams. The historical details matched perfectly, down to the pattern of wallpaper in the servants' quarters. The sixth sign emerged through physical sensations in places of historical significance. Casey leaned forward, his eyes intense as burning coals. The body remembers trauma and joy from past lives. When you visit a battlefield and feel phantom pain in your chest, when you enter an ancient cathedral and experience overwhelming peace, when you touch historical artifacts and feel electricity coursing through your veins, your physical body is responding to cellular memory. Mitchell felt goosebumps rising on his arms as Casey continued. "I have seen people collapse at Gettysburg, overwhelmed by memories of dying there. I have watched visitors to Egyptian pyramids weep with recognition, their hands knowing exactly how to trace hieroglyphs they had carved in previous lives." The prophet's voice grew more intense. "A remarkable case involved a woman who visited Pompeii and immediately began coughing uncontrollably, as if breathing volcanic ash. She led our group directly to a house that had not yet been fully excavated, insisting she had lived there. When archaeologists later uncovered that house, they found the skeleton of a young woman clutching a baby, exactly as our visitor had described in her overwhelming vision. The physical memory of suffocation from the volcanic eruption had remained stored in her cellular structure across 2,000 years. As the final revelation approached, Casey's voice became almost otherworldly. The seventh and most profound sign manifested through an unshakable sense of purpose that transcends personal ambition. "Old souls carry missions from lifetime to lifetime," he said, his words seeming to echo from beyond the physical realm. "When you feel called to heal, to teach, to create, to serve humanity in ways that feel larger than yourself, you are responding to soul contracts made before birth. These purposes persist through death and rebirth, growing stronger with each incarnation." The room fell silent, except for the soft hum of the recording device. The greatest souls among us are those who remember their eternal mission and dedicate each lifetime to fulfilling it. Casey stood slowly, moving to the window where moonlight cast ethereal shadows across his face. I have encountered souls who have been healers for thousands of years, moving from shaman to priest to doctor to energy worker, always serving others in whatever form their era would accept. Others have been teachers, carrying wisdom from ancient Greece to medieval monasteries to modern universities, always finding ways to educate and enlighten. These souls feel restless and unfulfilled when they stray from their eternal purpose, because their very essence is aligned with service to the greater good. The air in the room seemed to vibrate with energy as Casey shared his most profound insight. The combination of these 7 signs creates a symphony of recognition that awakens the slumbering soul. When multiple signs align in one person's experience, it indicates not just past lives, but multiple significant incarnations that have shaped their current mission on Earth. He returned to his chair, his movements deliberate and meaningful. The souls who recognize these signs most strongly are often what we call old souls, beings who have incarnated many times and carry within them the wisdom of numerous lifetimes. They often feel different from others, older somehow, burdened with knowledge they cannot explain, and driven by purposes that seem to come from somewhere beyond their current circumstances. Mitchell asked about the scientific basis for these phenomena, and Casey's response revealed the depth of his understanding. Science will eventually prove what ancient wisdom has always known, that consciousness is not produced by the brain, but flows through it like water through a vessel. Memory is not stored only in neural pathways, but in the quantum field that connects all existence. What we call past life memories are actually accessing this universal database of experience that every soul contributes to and draws from. His eyes blazed with conviction. The great scientists of the future will understand that reincarnation is not a religious belief, but a natural law, as predictable and measurable as gravity or electromagnetic forces. Casey then shared specific techniques for awakening past life memories. Meditation, particularly when focused on recurring dreams or unexplained skills, can open the doorway to past life recall. Writing in a journal immediately upon waking, before the logical mind can interfere, often captures fragments of soul memory. Visiting historical locations, especially those to which you feel inexplicably drawn, can trigger powerful remembrances. Most importantly, paying attention to the subtle signs the soul provides, the shivers of recognition, the tears without explanation, the knowing without learning, creates a bridge between your current consciousness and your eternal self. The prophet revealed that the timing of this interview was not coincidental. Humanity is entering an age of awakening where the veil between lifetimes grows thin. More souls are remembering their past incarnations because the earth itself is shifting to a higher frequency of consciousness. The signs are becoming stronger and more frequent because the planet needs awakened souls to help guide this transformation. His voice carried the weight of prophecy. Those who recognize themselves in these 7 signs are not here by accident. They are volunteers who chose to incarnate during this critical time in human history, bringing forward the wisdom of ages to help humanity evolve. Casey stood slowly, his frail form somehow radiating immense power. The evidence of past lives surrounds us constantly, but most people are too distracted by the noise of modern life to notice. These 7 signs are the soul's way of reminding us that we are not random beings stumbling through existence. We are eternal travelers on a journey of growth, love, and service that spans countless lifetimes. His eyes met Mitchell's with startling intensity. Remember this, young man. Death is not an ending. It is merely a doorway to the next chapter of an infinite story. As Mitchell prepared to leave, Casey grasped his arm with surprising strength. The souls reading this message are not here by accident. They are old souls who chose to incarnate during humanity's greatest transformation. The signs they recognize in themselves are not coincidences. They are confirmations of their eternal nature and sacred purpose. The prophet's final words carried the weight of absolute truth. Share this knowledge with those who have ears to hear. The time for awakening has come. Each soul that remembers its eternal nature adds light to the collective consciousness, helping to birth a new era of human understanding. The recorder clicked off as Casey walked Mitchell to the door. The old prophet's last words to the journalist would haunt him for the rest of his life. When you publish this interview, it will find exactly the souls who need to read it. Nothing happens by chance in the realm of spirit. Every person who recognizes these signs is being called to remember who they truly are and why they chose to be here now. 3 days later, Edgar Cayce peacefully transitioned to the next realm, leaving behind a legacy that continues to illuminate the eternal nature of the human soul. This interview, hidden for 8 decades, now serves as a beacon for those ready to embrace their infinite existence. If you recognized yourself in these 7 signs, your soul is awakening to its eternal truth. The universe has guided you to this message because you are ready to remember your infinite nature. Share this revelation with others who seek understanding, for awakened souls must help each other remember. Comment below with which sign resonated most deeply with your experience and how it has manifested in your life. Your journey of remembrance has only just begun, and the universe is conspiring to help you uncover the magnificent truth of who you really are across all time and space.